All right. So since our current Facilities and Finance Committee Chair is not available to be in attendance in person, I, as board chair, call this meeting to order at 4:36 p.m.
Should we say the
All
pledge?
right, I guess this Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, all right. Do you want to do minutes or do you want to just go straight into non-public?
We can go to non-public for the next 20
Okay,
minutes, so
fine.
I can go to the other meeting.
All right, so, I think I have remembered.
Is it on here? Or
No,
no?
I make a motion to move into non-public per RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2. I just don't know which letter.
You could just say for contract
For
negotiations.
contract negotiations.
That's fine.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Okay.
All right, so now that we are out of non-public, Rick, if you don't have any opposition, we could skip the kind of the financial things and move down to talk about the fence. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Okay, actually, I'll start.
Okay.
So, yeah, fence donation for the middle school, high school from Sanborn Seminary trustees. Linked in a picture, the location kind of behind the building in the courtyard area adjacent to the cafeteria. And there's a description and a quote. This was just something that, we didn't solicit, but Mr. Doyle was talking to Sanborn Seminary trustees and one thing led to another, and they made an offer to pay for this. And I know Dan and Jen can speak to it, but I think, the main reasons, and I know we've kicked it around because I was in the building for a number of years as an administrator in this building. Just an added layer of security if we want to allow kids to go outdoors during lunch. Using, if you use it more as an outdoor classroom space for greenhouse, gardens, or if you have, there's a family and consumer science teacher who would like to expand her classes and do some grilling, that would be a safer, more appropriate space if it was fenced in. And lastly, and having done and chaperoned many school dances, you have to worry about, kids wandering off, and obviously that would be more challenging to do, but again, Mr. Doyle has a sample. There are pictures of the size of it, but just didn't know, Dan, again, if I missed anything, if I didn't, what questions
Yep, so
you guys have?
it'll be a 6-foot security type fence. This is a sample of the cap.
Mhm.
The post will be pressure treated, and then the rest of it will be cedar. And it will be done in this tongue and groove cedar, so you won't be able to see through it. And it'll be the same on both sides. So there really isn't a rail side and then a finish side. So it'll look nice on both sides. So if we ever want to dress it up on the inside, on the school side of it, we could always hang banners on it or dress it up for the dances or whatever they want to do. So I think this will be an awesome addition to the school, quite honestly, as far as more classroom space and usable space outdoors. Plus it gets the kids out there on lunch, get some fresh air, and we have a hard time doing that now because of being so open back there, and we have deliveries and trucks and everything going through there. So it's kind of hard to keep an eye on the kids. And with this, we can kind of keep them in place and have minimal supervision out there as far as taxing her staff, Jen's staff out there. There'll be 3 entrances. There'll be a 10-foot entrance so we can actually get a vehicle back there, and 2 5-foot entrances. The entrances will have panic hardware on them. Per fire code, they'll lock from the outside, but you have to be able to crash out if there's a fire. So have that all approved already with the fire department. They just want to see a final product more all done. So it'll all have crash hardware on the gates also. So that's what it will look like.
So I'm sorry, can you just, the hardware to get in, what did you say it was now? So you crash?
It's the panic
Crash to
hardware,
get out.
the crash bars.
Yeah.
that's what it's gonna be on the inside of the fence. So if there's a fire and the kids need to evacuate, they can crash out.
Yeah.
So it'll be locked from the outside, but the kids can get out at any time.
And just to elaborate on a couple things, that Dan mentioned. So that area is home to some family and consumer, so like the classrooms right outside that area. You have your family and consumer science, your health class. There's the life skills program is down in that wing. So, and then the doors to the CAF, we would still easily be able to use that for our morning drop off, because there would be a gate to come in, because that works well with the traffic pattern. But just additional opportunities to get, not that they can't go outside now, they can. But, you know, sometimes I think we think about safety pieces, and, you know, it definitely kind of changes, I think, how we think about great opportunities and how we need to just be mindful of stuff, depending on the scenario. We do have an outdoor classroom that's deep in the woods in nature, if you will. More for like a lecture, it's almost like a lecture platform with some benches. It is accessible. That's kind of off to the side. But I think really I was talking with the family consumer science teacher, and her intention is to also then be able to write a grant to get like an outdoor kitchen to then add, again, some like grilling stuff. We have the greenhouse. Thankfully, all these years, it has gone without, you know, any sort of damage with anybody messing with it after school hours or on a weekend. But I think it would also protect anything else that we would want to put in there, whether it's another, you know, additional gardening down the road, or again, like the greenhouse is there now, the Sustainability Club uses it regularly. So I don't know, and I like it for if we're having lunch. I think we can still use our recess space, but I'll tell you, even when I tell the kids, hey, stay within this area out at recess, where the basketball court and stuff is, they wander. I have to get kids off the rocks sometimes, or be like, hey, come back. So I also like having an additional opportunity after recess even to come inside, and us to be able to have an adult stand in the doorway, allow kids to be out there, with, you know, I could probably have one adult easily stand out there and feel comfortable with the kids not being able to go mess with any of the loading dock stuff, or walk out even into the back roadway, climbing on the rocks, all those things. And put your 6th grade hat on, right? Like that's my main people who I do worry about, or even some 7th and 8th graders every now and then. So just to be able to, again, have an additional outdoor space that teachers could do activities, middle and high school. So I loved it. Dan and I have actually been talking about it for a few years.
Right.
So it was nice that the trustees, we were able to connect with them to talk about it.
Okay. Did you want to speak first on it?
Sorry, I was
No, you're fine.
I was looking at the layout on here, but then I was comparing it to what is in the schematic below it, and they just don't quite match. I was trying to wrap my head around it. Sorry.
Is the right schematic, Dan?
So it's because, so I was looking at this versus this.
Yeah.
And so this has it coming all the way out here, but this has it looking like.
Yeah,
it's
there's a
squaring
jog
off.
there where the gate is. So
Okay,
we're
that's what I
gonna-
was just trying to make sure I was looking, I was like, am I
Right.
looking at this funny? Like, what is the, oops.
Yeah, it's
What-
basically
what
gonna
is
go
the-
from the corner of the building.
Yeah.
Come over to the wide sidewalk where parent drop off is, and then make a slight jog there and parallel the road to the corner where that fence is out there for
Mhm.
storage.
Yeah.
So that will still be exposed, but it's a privacy chain link, so we're not gonna cover that. And then a gate here, a 5-foot gate here for egress, and it's gonna follow the railing all the way down to the high wall
Right.
where the loading dock is.
Mhm.
So there shouldn't be any exposure to the kids at all, you know, as far as there'll always be a 6-foot fence between the kids and the public.
And is there a reason that we're looking to go with such a, just I mean, it completely cuts off all exposure outside. Like, is there a reason that you're looking at going with something so solid, so there's no view to anything beyond that?
The reason why I want to go with the solid security fence is because, you know, if we do have kids back there, unfortunately, our campus is an open campus.
Right,
We haven't deemed it as a closed campus.
right.
So we still get people all the time, even during school hours, walking their dogs, using the track. So the public is
Right.
is very present in the back there. So I just wanted to block that line of vision. If we ever had an incident back there, a gunman, whatever, they don't have line of sight issues on our kids back there.
Well, but we also let our kids go down and use the track, so there's no protection there. So we
Yeah.
definitely don't have that for most other situations.
But there's more of a standoff between the upper road and the track though, where parents, when they're walking or people are walking or driving back here, they're right on top of that cafeteria. So that's why I chose to go with the solid fence. Plus it actually holds up better. If kids start getting squirrely and climbing it or whatever, they're not gonna break it
We're
apart.
not gonna do that.
So Dan, just so I understand, 'cause we didn't come, so when you spoke to the trustees, they were just like, what do you guys want for a fence? Or, I didn't know. how the
Yeah,
conversation-
that's exactly what happened. So, well, what do you want to do
So
with
we have-
fence? And I said, well, I want to go with a 6-foot privacy type fence, just for that extra measure for security. And they were like, yeah, whatever you're interested in doing, well, we'd love to take a look at it and move forward with it.
So it wasn't, okay, I'm just not trying to understand, they weren't like saying, this is the fence you have to use.
No, not at all.
Okay,
No,
okay, yeah.
this was a
Yep.
decision made on my part.
Okay.
I'll own it. So,
What is the distance from the fence to the edge of the parent drop off to that road right there? Do you know what that is? I'm concerned
I-
about snow getting pushed in and putting pressure against the fence.
No, I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
We really don't pile snow up there anyways where the rocks are because
Yeah.
we can't push it because of the rocks.
Right, no, I know, but as you plow and snow ends up, if we have a lot of snow, it's gonna keep,
Yeah,
pushing and
no, you're-
pushing,
You're
so-
exactly right. And we move it then. Once
Yeah,
it starts piling
okay.
up, we actually move snow
Okay.
instead of push it.
It's 288 linear feet, is that what I saw? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, for the whole distance.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I struggle with, I guess I'm struggling with this. I see your point, but I also, that's just, you know, if the kids want to be outside, they want to be outside. They don't want to be trapped in more. I don't know, I struggle with that. I also, if you're talking about putting an outside kitchen out there, I have grave concern about having an outside kitchen out there, but also having kids out there, you know, I mean, because you're gonna have to have propane and things like that. So that it just, there are some things that I have some concern over.
Yeah.
Just what people already want to do with it. I mean, I love the concept, but I have concerns.
Yeah.
So,
So for me, it's the aesthetics is the first problem. We do have an open campus, which I seem to like.
and I mean, it is posted that you're not supposed to be here during school hours,
Yeah.
so, you know, but,
We're concerned with, I heard the dance thing. I've chaperoned those night
Yeah,
dances as
yeah.
well. I think we did one together.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we did.
So, I'm just saying, you are putting a fence up with 1, 2, 3 gates, and if kids want to get out, they're getting out. And 2 of the gates are behind trees. So,
Right. Good
if
point.
they want to leave, they're gonna leave. And whether you have the fence there or not, for me, I'd still want the same number of people out there chaperoning, right? This fence doesn't
Yeah,
remove
well,
the
yeah.
chaperones because you're chaperoning the kids, right? So,
True, yeah, it's not to cut down.
Yeah.
yeah, and then, you know, I just did a quick lookup, but the cost to maintain this fence probably
I was
annually,
gonna say, it's gonna
$1,200
be a
probably.
lot, the
Lowball?
maintenance on it.
I
We're
would
gonna
say
have to.
probably your first 6 or 7 years will probably be maintenance free. You know?
Well, this says, you know, cleaning, sealing and staining
Right.
annual basis.
Yeah.
Sealing and staining cedar, right?
Yeah,
1,200
that will keep
This says
the
1,200 to
longevity,
2,880 annually.
Yeah.
For a 6-foot cedar fence, 288 linear feet.
to keep the longevity of it, yes.
Yeah.
So-
And down the road, once we put this in, we're then gonna be required to continue to keep it here. Which means the school is gonna be on the hook to
And
replace
you
it.
mentioned this, so I'm gonna ask about, it. You mentioned the loading dock. Is the loading dock repaired? Is that fixed?
Does it
Has
what?
that been fixed?
The loading dock?
No.
So, so before me, I have a loading dock that's not fixed. No, that's not a dig on you at all, Dan, just so you know. And I have,
You mean as far as the concrete goes and stuff like that?
yeah, I'm just, it's
Well,
in
right, but-
disrepair.
No, but we're not asking money for that because
I
the
know.
seminarians are doing the fence. So it's-
100%. I agree. And then we have a couple hundred, probably $100,000+ of seal work that has to be done. on the
Yeah,
property.
I'm just presenting it. If you want to move forward with it, that's great. If not, then I'll put it on the shelf.
Yeah,
It doesn't
no.
matter to me.
Yeah.
It's,
I thought it'd be a nice
and-
addition and
And I appreciate the thought.
Mhm.
You know, and I do understand. I think that, you know, if the seminary is willing to, you know, put forth this kind of money for this fence, you know, I just wonder if there are other projects that maybe are a little bit more pressing, that money could go towards, that we could ask them if, you know, they would consider helping us with some, maybe some other things instead, because that's a lot of money. And there's a lot of other things that I think maybe we could, you know, put in a request for.
And I think for the record, we're very appreciative.
Oh, so
that they're-
incredibly
that they're willing
appreciative
to
that
do
they would be
anything.
willing to do this.
Mhm.
I think just when you're talking that kind of money, it's looking at, you know, this is a want.
This is
and
a
I
nice
think
to have
It's, yeah.
for now, and we have
Yeah.
need to haves that have to be fixed right now.
So,
That's fair, yeah.
No,
I
definitely.
mean, we can look at other projects.
Well, and just to let you know what my work with the trustees, how it's kind of shifted two directions in the past few years. We know when I started,
Mhm.
the grants were, it had to be, something that would impact a big group of students. Something we would be willing to maintain that,
Mhm.
you know, they could help get it started, but that we would take ownership of, whatever that might be. It had like a price limit. That's how they used to kind of do it. They gave you sort of a cap.
yeah, makes sense.
So and then this year, they reached out to me for what I'm gonna present later on tonight, a second round of grants,
Which is
because,
phenomenal.
it's
I was
amazing.
so excited when I saw
I
that.
know.
I was like, holy moly.
and you'll see some different kinds of things tonight
Mhm.
in the other grants, including something like this, because historically, I know they have provided some kinds of equipment and new things, and I don't mean like the bee hive, but they've been a lot more focused on like things students will directly use, but they do want to sort of open the scope of what we can apply for. So I think moving forward, if we do think of other things that are pressing that would benefit anyone who walks in the door, then I think they would entertain it, which is good, because I know that before this year, it was a little more strict with what they would be willing to kind of give.
Right.
It really had to be student-centered fully, but now they're like, it can be teacher stuff, professional development, they said, anything.
Right,
They
yes, I noticed
literally-
that in there, yeah.
They, you know, really were like, we are open to anything. They took away the price cap. I had a lot more staff take advantage, which was great. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
applications,
the
so
applications were great.
I think, it's, you know, if this is a no, that's okay, because I think we can definitely come back to the table. You know, we can work this summer, maybe figure something out and write another grant.
like I said, doesn't matter to me. I was looking at it more from a
Yeah.
security standpoint,
Right.
because the
Which-
line
Great.
gives you
Yeah, I
into the
appreciate it.
cafeteria from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
road
Yeah.
there, so.
I mean, you're tapped into all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which comes to the next one too, which we should stay on
Yeah.
track, because I want to make sure that
You
John
get
and Rick get at least a 15-minute break before this
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
epic school board meeting coming up, so.
Thank you both for listening.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thanks for presenting
Appreciate,
it.
yeah, appreciate the
thanks for the work
You're
as
presentation.
well.
welcome.
Oh, yeah.
The next one, actually, you might be up, but okay, Jen, if you have other things to do. You're welcome to sit here too.
Right.
As I was heading off to warmer places last week, we had an issue with, some water test results at the Seacoast building where SLCSC AR in Newton. I tried to catch up with some emails, but Dan is directly involved, and Dan is working with companies on the fix, and also the possibility of using some state grant money to pay for this work. I'll let Dan jump in and explain it, because again, I was largely away when this work was being discussed and the issue was being discussed.
Okay, so what's happening is that in some of the fixtures at the SLC half of the building are coming up hot, high levels of lead. One of the faucets was so high that the state wanted to do a visit, come in and take a look, so they did.
Okay.
To fix the problem, the immediate problem, our options were to either remove the fixtures or replace the fixtures and see if it's the lead content in the solder in the fixtures.
Okay.
So at this point, what we're doing is we removed a sink in the kitchen and the SLC side, and we're not going to use it again. We're replacing a faucet, which we did today in the teacher's lavatory there. We're going to have to retest that and see if that's coming hot for lead. And there's a classroom sink with 2 faucets that also came up hot for lead. So we'll replace those faucets today also. So I have to go through testing on that. So if that fixed the problem with the lead, then we're golden. There also might be grant money available to pay for.
The building has copper pipes. It's the solder
The
that.
soft.
Yeah, it's the solder and the fixtures and.
Old solder.
Yeah, just so I'm clear, so, it's not the whole building, it's just certain fixtures in certain areas?
We don't know. So your first step is to replace the fixtures and then you test. And if it comes up hot again for lead, then you know it's the piping.
Okay.
So you start from the beginning and you
Right.
work backwards.
Okay.
Okay. So that's our first step. Then when they were looking at our water filtration system, we have an ionization system there that removes arsenic from the water. But what it does is it increases the acidity of the water when it does it.
Okay.
So the state directed us to shut down that system because what was happening is that possible high acidity in the water is creating more of a problem for the lead and creating the lead problem. So right now, on the directions of the state, we put the system in bypass. So right now, we're hoping the lead content comes down, but because the system's in bypass, now our arsenic levels are going to jump in the water. So since arsenic is a cumulative thing, they weren't concerned about us not drinking the water since it's going to be short term. And they didn't put an order against us to stop drinking the water at this point. So what I did is talked with Second Wind, who's our water system manager on this. And they looked at the system and they said, we need to put a new filtration system in similar to the one that we did in Memorial 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah.
So they gave me a bid for that system. The system's $59,466. Okay. Now there is grant money available from the state to pay for this, possibly fully or a vast majority of it. So I'm going to apply for this grant. I already have it in with the state. They're reviewing it. And I'm hoping they'll pay 100% of this to include the changing of the fixtures that we've already done today. So I've been keeping receipts and making sure we can track it. So obviously there's no guarantee, but I'm going to apply for the grant money anyways. But they seem pretty confident that they can absorb a large cost of this, if not all of it. Okay. The state does not require multiple bids. They just said, you go with the company that you're good with. And I went to Second Wind because they've been our water resource manager for years now.
Yeah.
And if I remember, they came and did a presentation. And,
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay, and we all decided as a board that we were going to continue to utilize them.
Yes.
Right. And I like to continue using them just to keep the continuity with
Yeah.
their
And
systems.
that's what we talked about, was the continuity was really
Right.
important.
Agreed.
So with that being said, this is a cost that I'm gonna have to pay for upfront out of our monies and then ask for reimbursement. So I'm presenting this to let you know what's going on with their water system. SCA and SLC are both on bottled water right now. So they're not consuming the water there, but they can still wash their hands or do whatever they need to do in the building.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. We're looking at at least a $60,000 bill to replace the filtration system at that school.
And neither one of the tenants are on the hook for any of this, correct? If I
I believe section 8.2 talks about water and piping, and if I read it correctly, and I need to reread it, it sounded like SLC was on the hook for 34.28%, if I got my notes correct, but you may want to reread 8.2.
Okay.
Oh, for the cost of the filtration system, is that what you're saying?
Anything involving,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, water, pipes is different than maintenance. Maintenance is, 50/50 above 15,000.
Right.
So do we need to talk to them to get them on board if the grant does not come through? Because then we're making a decision based on something that isn't guaranteed with their money.
I don't think we have,
They need
I mean,
They're aware of what's going on.
yeah,
We
I'm
had
doing a
discussion
quick
with them,
read
so.
and I don't think.
I'm trying to find it, so that's why I was.
There.
As I've read it,
Thank you.
I mean, potable water is not like,
I believe we mirrored both contracts.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lower percentage, because that was one of the negotiation points with SCA. I think it's a little bit lower based upon square footage,
Correct.
but, yeah, right? Okay. So, yeah, it's water. I mean, for me, there's no question.
Yeah.
we're not,
I just wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
weren't doing something that I just want to make sure we were all kosher with
I think we are.
process. Yeah, no, I think we are too.
yeah, I read it, catching up on a lot of things, but I just read that section.
But
Because it
either-
says upon demand by landlord accompanied by proof of the cost.
Yeah.
So
But
I think
either
we're safe.
way, we're gonna do the right thing and fix the water problem.
Yeah, we
I
don't,
think
yeah,
we're
we don't have a
obligated.
choice. I just wanted to make sure we
Right.
weren't like down the road.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, but you didn't run that by us and we didn't get to, so I just wanted to make sure we were okay.
So do you need a motion to approve the expense, or where's the funds coming from?
I mean, at this point, the end of the year balance it's there. As we get closer, maybe the next meeting, I'll try to give you a sense of where it's at. I think at this point, we can go with, surplus line, versus facility revolving use. There's about 113,000, well, that was as of January 31st, since January 31st. There was 113,000 in facility revolving use, January 31st, so it's probably 131,000 now in facility revolving use.
So I'm working with my contact over DES right now,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of persuading them to see if they'll front some of the money up front.
Okay.
Knowing what has to be done and knowing that they're most likely gonna grant that grant anyways. So I'm kind of working that angle. And then I said, how long does it take for a refund to take place once we submit the paperwork for the grant?
Yeah,
And they said about 2 months is what it takes.
okay.
So we're not looking for a longer, after the project's complete, we're probably looking at 2 months for a return on that money.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try and get them to front some of the money, up front. There's no guarantees. They typically don't do that, but since I'm working with them really closely, they're like, well, maybe.
I mean, since
Yeah, could we not, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Since the SLC and SCA money goes in and out of the facility revolving use, well, we could we could run it through that. And then hope that it gets reimbursed, that 59,000.
Either way, at least a portion of it will get reimbursed back to it.
Exactly.
Well, could we not use the unanticipated utility cost expense trust fund?
Well, these really utilities, isn't that just for like electricity?
It says unanticipated utility costs. Water is a utility.
Yeah, I guess there's no reason why you couldn't.
Yeah, so there's $189,000 in that fund right there, so, yeah, so I think the question, I don't think there's a question of whether or not we have the funds to do it, right? So you just need a motion, is that what you need?
Yeah, I just want, your permission to move forward with just a single contractor instead of doing multiple bids and.
So I'll make a motion to move forward with Second Wind, in the amount of $59,466 to replace water filtration at the SLC SCA former middle school building.
Out of the unanticipated utility cost expendable trust fund?
For now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, out of the unanticipated utility cost expenditure trust fund, which, as of what I have on the report today, is $189,700.60.
Yeah.
Exactly, yep.
Second. Sorry, I forgot I was running. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, all in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
What else do we have here?
Okay,
He's got-
okay, so for, again, for item F, it facility requests and needs. Dan and I started to look at summer projects, but these two are obviously a little bit more timely because we start using a mower in the spring, and for parking lots, you have to book contractors certainly by about now to get them for the summer, otherwise they're fully booked. We don't, I don't think we need action on these tonight, but certainly by April 7th. It's just I'm not looking for action on these, but that zero turn mower is to replace the John Deere that's at end of life, according to your sources. It's like a car with 400,000 miles on it. When it breaks, it's worth about a few grand, and when it breaks, it's like a $3,000 bill. It's basically you're throwing good money after bad.
So are we going to sell that mower?
We could sell it for about 3,000.
I think it was 3,000, yes.
And the alternative would be to move it to the Newton campus, and then you wouldn't have to trailer and just use it for those fields behind the SCSLC instead of having the trailer
Yeah.
equipment back
Just
and forth.
park it
Because it'd
down there.
be light duty use versus here where you're mowing.
Right.
However many acres you guys mow.
Just basically keep it and run it into the ground, and then when it comes to a point where we have to put money into it, then
Again, the quote, it's the government pricing, so Dan, the 19,304, that's the government price?
that's government pricing, yes.
On
And that's the
34.
same, no matter what dealer I go to for that piece of equipment.
So again, I mean, we need it, we've run mowers all summer, you know, the Ventrax's been great, but that's, you know, that can only do so much.
It's normally $24,700, so the government pricing brings it down below 20.
So it's a 72-inch mower, right?
Yes.
What do we
first
have
stack.
now? I know it's a John Deere, but what deck do we have now? Like what deck size, what kind of motor, like what exactly are we trying to replace?
So what we're trying to replace is a John Deere 97 or 99.7.
Okay.
Zero turn. It's got 35,000 hours on it, which
What's
is
the
like
deck
400.
size on it right now? The one that we're replacing?
I think it's a little bit bigger than the one that we want to order, quite honestly, but I don't know offhand. It's not much bigger.
The one that, oh, okay.
Yeah,
So the one we have is a little bigger.
yeah, just a
Okay.
little bit
Okay.
bigger,
I
but
just wanna-
sometimes bigger isn't better when we're.
Well,
mowing
and
on
that's why I was
trees,
asking
so.
the question, because I know when you're talking, you know, because there are, I mean, the fields out there are really, really nice, but there are definitely some little spots where you
Oh,
go
right, right.
like that. And
Yep.
so the wider the deck,
Yes,
the more
so.
chance of tipping and
So
not.
we have a.
Yeah,
so
so
we
I
have
just, that's
a-
why I was asking the question, like, what
Yeah,
is it?
we
what
have
do
a
use now?
Skag, Tiger, just like this now.
Right,
So we want to match up the fleet because now we have a Skag, we have a John Deere, we have a Walker, we have all these different products. And I'm trying to get it to a single type of fleet. So that was me, I'm sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say. I don't think
So
was
this will match one like we have now.
Yeah.
Now, like you were saying, sometimes bigger isn't better. We
Right.
have that little Walker mower that we use on the football field because of,
Yeah,
so that's our finishing mower. Now, we got that big Ventrac that we bought last year that does a large part of the fields and takes it down and does a great job. Plus it maintains all the infields and stuff like that. So, we still use that smaller, Walker though, on game day to finish the field. So,
so what exactly does, between the other two pieces of equipment that we have, what exactly does that John Deere, what does that get used for? Because it
lawn
sounds,
grass, that's it.
what grass though? Because you just said it does most of the fields and
Baby,
everything,
Memorial,
so.
wherever they need it,
What
they
was the
trailer it everywhere.
Ren tag, is that, what did we just buy?
The
The
Ventrac.
Ventrac.
The Ventrac, what is it? I thought that was like gonna be mowing.
Oh, it does. It's got a huge deck on it and it's great for doing the soccer fields and baseball fields and the football field. But we always finish them up with the finish mower because according to the rules of the game, the grass has got to be at exact height or whatever.
Mhm.
Plus with the Ventrac, we
I
have
thought
the,
that's what the Ventrac was for.
well, that, and plus the Ventrac has also the field grooming equipment for it, the
Right.
snow removal, the broom, all that stuff. So the Ventrac is a huge multi-purpose type.
But we don't use that for our general mowing.
Not at Bakey or the Newton campus because it's so large we can't we
So
can,
then,
but
so
it's
this piece of
difficult.
equipment is basically, if you're gonna park the John Deere at Memorial, Then this one is basically gonna do Bakey?
This will do all the schools.
The Ventrac can't be trailer, right? You can't
It
trailer?
can, but it's very difficult. So like, we don't mow around the high school here with the Ventrac. That's for the fields only.
Yeah.
Okay, Chase Field, we use these Skag mowers to mow Chase Field along with the John Deere. So, we have to have, something like that in our fleet anyway. Zero turn, they're quicker than the Ventrac. I mean, they're made for zipping around
Yeah.
fields. and getting
Right,
them
right,
done.
right, right, right.
So,
Um,
I'm trying to make the fleet so it's the same.
Why? What's the importance of that?
Keeping them just for maintenance, why are we buying 3 different type of oil filters? Why are we buying 3 different sizes of blades? Why are we,
Is the other one we just bought, is that also a diesel?
we have the Ventrac? I
Yeah.
think it's gasoline.
Then it doesn't matter, you're not gonna be buying the same
Yeah.
filters, because you're talking about diesel here.
Oh, he's talking
That
about the other
makes-
Skag. He's talking about the other Skag
Yeah.
mower.
Yeah,
Okay.
where's
The
that?
other Skag, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
is that
trying
a
to match the
diesel?
0 turns up.
Okay, all right, and that's a diesel as well,
Yes.
and it takes it all the same,
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it easier for maintenance, when it comes to parts and everything.
Does this come with any kind of warranty or anything, or?
and is this
Yeah,
quote
they do.
still good, because it says 30 days, and this is from October of
Yeah,
24.
they're pretty good about honoring it. I think it was a 1 year, like bumper to bumper, and 2 years, some of the equipment. That's in here, I just gotta track it down.
I couldn't.
Yeah, because I didn't see any of that on here either, there was nothing.
Because usually it's a pay, right? Like you usually like pay for that. This is buying a
No, it's
car.
just from the manufacturer,
So Donna, if you don't mind, I'll just start
Yeah,
off.
please go.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
so, I'm not opposed to getting a piece of equipment. I always look at purchases like this, like if I was gonna spend my own money, unfortunately. And I'm probably one of the most frugal people you'll ever meet. I found a Husqvarna 72-inch zero-turn mower, 31 horsepower, $10,599, $450 delivery fee. So.
Yeah, and is that a commercial, and they're not made in America, so with tariffs and everything coming on, do you really wanna buy something?
Well,
that's
there's no
made overseas?
tariffs right now.
Well, but even parts, when you start buying Husqvarna and those other companies that are.
Yeah, I'm not gonna operate under fear, but I'm just saying,
Well-
like, if you're asking me to spend taxpayers' money, I think there's other options that are maybe a little more affordable.
Well,
Yeah, I found some Cub
I
Cadets
think
that
you're
were
right in
commercial.
that, but you're also buying dependability in a Skag. We have one now. They don't have any problems with it. If you look at most landscapers out there, they're running Walkers or Skags. They're not running John Deere's. They're not running Husqvarnas. We
So-
run a huge operation here when it comes to
Yeah.
grounds, and I need the equipment to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Those machines run 8, 10 hours a day, every day.
So thinking about, because we have limited time,
Very
and some
limited.
questions, and we have another meeting in 2 weeks. I don't want to pressure you guys into a decision right now. I'd rather come back in 2 weeks. Like, what would you like to see from us? Because I feel like,
I'd like to see more options.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
yeah.
Look,
Because-
Dan, I don't disagree with some of the things you're saying, but, I have a responsibility to explore all options, and I think we all do, when we're out spending our money, right? Like, and I wouldn't, this is commercially rated, you know what I mean? It's got good reviews, you know what I mean? So, but this is only one, right? So I found one and I saved it because, there's probably more options out there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna look into, make sure they're, compare apples to apples, commercial grade, different brands. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, okay.
And Dawn, if you disagree or.
No, it's always nice when we have at least something to compare so we can make an educated decision.
Yeah.
I think that's,
No, we're bringing something on April 2nd.
Yeah.
'Cause it looks
and I
like-
think
and it
we'll
looks
make a
like Skag
decision.
does have
Like,
some
I'm
other,
not saying, I'm not saying we don't need the equipment, I think we just need to just get some options. Well,
Okay, the parking lots is not, again, it's not looking for a decision tonight.
Yeah.
There's only one quote there just to kind of kick off the conversation, because, the three school campuses have different issues with their parking.
Yeah.
Some are more pressing. And I do want to leave 5 minutes for financial stuff and get you guys out of here by 10 at the latest, so.
And did you end up, you said you were potentially getting more, did I miss it? Are there more quotes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're coming,
I'll
but-
get more quotes.
Okay,
It's just I want to
This-
give you a
This
ballpark
is.
Okay,
of
fine.
what we're gonna spend,
Because,
because I don't want to get more quotes and
Yeah.
saying we don't have the money for it.
Right,
Because then I burn bridges that we
Yeah,
get
no,
contractors.
that's fine, that's fine.
because again, there's the Bakey Memorial, the quote kind of outlines, or gives you a quick overview of the 3 issues of the 3 campuses. And the quotes give you a ballpark idea. We're gonna get other quotes, but, Dan, did you want to say anything about, Bakey, the Bakey Memorial or high school, middle school projects, or?
So the asphalt itself here at the high school is in pretty good condition. We just have to maintain it. So that's why I got the quote for seal coating and crack filling.
Yeah.
Which we should be doing every 5 years anyways. I know somebody brought it up to do it last summer, and when I got quotes for that, everybody's like, wait 1 more year, because if you go too much, too quick, then it's actually not beneficial for the
When was it
asphalt.
done last?
It was done in
Oh, Micah wants to join.
2020.
Oh, I think he's
it was.
trying to join the board meeting, not the
No.
facilities.
Yeah,
plan.
2020 is when it was done.
Okay.
So, and then we've done some smaller pavement projects here at the high school, like the entrance and everything, just to maintain.
And we've used Petra quite a bit.
We use them pretty much exclusively because they come in really
Yeah,
good with their
no,
price. and
that's
they
why I
do
remember
good
you
work.
saying that,
Yeah.
so.
So, we'll start off at Bakey. Obviously, the parking lot there is ready for seal coat and crack filling. There is a spot in the Bakey parking lot where the asphalt has completely failed and the buses are driving right through it. And it's a patch about 10 foot by 10 foot that needs to be cut out and repaved completely. It's in the oldest section of the parking lot.
Mhm.
It's in the back there where the loading dock is and it goes out to the basketball courts in the back. That section is the section that needs to be replaced. The whole section does.
Thanks, Jen.
If we want to wait a year on it, we could probably get by another year without doing anything, but we do have to address that hole.
Right,
So
Oh, I
that's
saw
something
that.
that we must do.
Yeah.
Okay. At Memorial, we had some repaving done on that 2 years ago. So there's a lot of areas that are in good shape. There's some areas that are in bad shape. In my opinion, I think if we crack seal and seal coat that, we could probably buy, 3, 4 more years out of that parking lot if we maintain it.
right.
Other than that, it's pretty stable. And this all includes the sidewalks too, just so you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
it doesn't include striping though, right? 'Cause
it does not. It
Yeah.
does not include striping.
Yeah.
And then
Good
when
call.
you look at seal coating, the high school here, like I told you, it's just a preventative maintenance thing. It really does help. We do
Yeah.
have some cracks that are opening up out there that are getting pretty wide.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the state of the asphalt in the school district here.
Yep.
It's actually not too bad. It's better than when I got here, believe me.
Right.
But we do have some spots at Baker we need to address. you
It's
know.
like the track. If you don't maintain it,
Yeah,
you're gonna pay
fall
for it
apart.
eventually.
it'll get
right?
away from you. in a
Nobody
hurry.
likes to pay for roofs or
Right.
driveways.
Nope.
You have to.
So I know the question is gonna be, can we get away with this cheaper? And my thought is we can hold off maybe 1 year as far as paving at Bakey, but we still have to do the
It's
pothole.
the right thing.
Yeah,
if you're
but
gonna
if
do
you
the
got a
pothole, you
hole and
might
it's
as
just
well.
gonna keep getting
Yeah.
bigger and deeper, and it's just
Yeah.
gonna take more.
Water's gonna get underneath.
Yeah,
And
it's
then-
just gonna be bigger.
And then with Bakey, that price does not include tear up. They can go over what's existing
Yeah,
because it's
Yeah,
solid
I
enough.
saw they were gonna grind down.
When we did the other parking lot at Bakey, the teacher's lot, that was a tear up because it was completely messed up underneath.
Yeah, so you're working on other quotes.
I'll
So,
work on other quotes.
Yep. So
and-
let's get those
And why,
in.
and what about striping
Yeah,
too?
I
We should
think
get
we
some
should
striping
start
quotes,
getting those
because
done.
that's gonna be
So
that's pretty penny too.
striping to stripe all our schools, because if we reseal all the schools, we'll need to.
Yeah, we'll have to restripe
It'll
all
be
of
about
them.
$10,000 to restripe all the parking.
Yeah.
All of them?
All
That's
Just
not
get
as
the
bad
quotes.
as I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be.
and as far as, and I can get quotes for restriping, but I've been using one guy in particular
Mhm.
that does our striping and he comes in low every
Yeah,
time.
just get them in. Just get the quotes, right?
Yeah.
Just so,
Okay.
because it's our.
Because Petra has their own striper too, and I can have them throw that
Yeah, if they
into
could
it.
throw that in and then you can
And
get,
then I
one or
can
two more,
break
that'd
it
be
out.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just get the
So-
quotes first and then.
The only thing I strongly encourage is I'll get these bids as soon as possible, but we really should make a decision on this because they do book up over the summer
I'm
in
sure.
December.
Well, you
Yeah,
said this
so-
would come back at the April 2nd
Two weeks.
anything?
Yeah, so
So-
if you have
So
the
I'm gonna-
dates ready, we'll make a
Yeah, I'm
decision.
gonna try and move on this as quickly
Yeah.
as I can,
Okay.
just so you know.
Perfect,
And
thank
if you
you.
don't have the striping bids, we won't hold it up, right? Like
Striping won't hold it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can do that throughout the summer,
Got it.
obviously.
Okay.
So,
So let's just jump on to financial quickly.
Thanks, Dan.
You guys
Thank you.
can see the change in inflation. You can read about the encumbrances of POs if you want. And then
Yeah.
cash balance, we were looking at trust fund balances earlier. They
Yeah.
changed just by a little bit based on interest. So
Yeah.
really the only the last two action items are just some budget adjustments.
Right.
The
yes, there
first,
was
I clumped in legal services and
Yeah.
then special ed. For legal services, looking to move a total of $70,284.80 from a surplus, health insurance budget line to a legal services line to cover, those three, invoices that total $70,284.80.
And these three invoices are covering up to what period?
Those are covering until about mid-January. Two were Hatfield, that did the investigation, and one is a Drummond Woodson.
Yeah, okay. So you need a motion
Need a
to,
motion to approve this budget adjustment.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget adjustment of $70,284.80. Coming from where, sorry?
Surplus health
surplus
insurance.
health.
Surplus health insurance to cover legal expenses.
Second. All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor? Unanimous, fabulous. All right, Matt. take it
Okay,
away.
last set of budget adjustments, there's quite a few. They're all within special ed lines. I'll just read them fairly quickly. Looking to move $53,646.96 from a middle school tuition out-of-state line to a Bakey tuition out-of-state line. $2,967.60 from a Bakey PTOT service line to a Memorial PTOT service line. $65,659.76 from a special education health and dental line to a Bakey non-public tuition line. And then the next four, total, those next four you see, are coming from a Memorial new equipment, a middle school OT services, a high school OT services, and district supply line. Those, total, I had a total here, there's $54,960.67. Those four being transferred to three lines, $16,137.25 to a high school in-state tuition line, $16,179.92 to a Bakey in-state tuition line, and then the difference is $22,643.50 to a Memorial special ed transportation line. So it's a total of, we're moving basically $177,239.99 between special ed lines to cover those.
So I'll make a motion to approve moving $177,234.99 between special ed lines as described and as referenced in the agenda notes.
Perfect. Second. All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor? Unanimous, wonderful.
We need to approve the meeting notes.
Yes,
Meeting
thank you.
minutes.
Sorry, we
Minutes.
moved around so much that we, yep.
So
we
I'll
did
make a
not do that.
motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 5th, 2025.
All right, I second that motion.
Okay.
All right, if there's no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, that was it,
Good.
right? We hit everything?
Meeting.
All right, so meeting adjourned.